the 2022 Triumph Tiger 660. It's hard for me to even say that because in my mind, it's not really a Tiger at all. But we'll get more into that. This bike certainly has its roots in some of the history of the Tiger. In my mind, that being the 1050 days when really it was a sport tour, which I sort of see this bike as. The Tiger 660 is using the new modified version of the 675 motor from the Street Triple, tuned down to a 660. This Tiger is sharing its roots more closely with another bike, however, and that would be the Trident. Same motor, same chassis, few little deviations here and there, namely the ride height and the seating position and some wind protection. Though it's the same motor as the Trident, it's down about 1 or 2 horsepower. Not that that's going to be noticeable, likely due to some gearing changes and to be fit for a more upright position and touring capability. Unlike the Trident, however, this bike's got a 4.5 gallon fuel tank, and as opposed to the 3.7 on the Trident, so you're going to get a little more range out of this bike. This bike sports a 32.8 inch seat height. It also has a low seat option that will lower it about an inch. The low seat height on the Tiger 660 is going to be very similar to that of the Trident. A couple of nice features that you get right out of the box with a stock version of the Tiger 660 is going to be adjustable windscreen. Pull up, push down, and that's it. So I like that. No dials to unscrew, anything like that. No electronics to fail on you. It's just, pick up and go when you want it. As for another nice add-on this thing gets right out of stock is the Michelin PR Road 5 tires. And these are really a great wet road tire. So up here in the Northwest, this is quite a nice benefit to get right out of the factory. You don't have to worry about swapping things out. You're getting a good road tire right from the start. Up front, you're going to get dual 310mm Nissan caliper brakes up front with ABS. And in the back, we're going to be getting a single 253 Nissan caliper with ABS. Up front, we're going to get the Showa 41mm non-adjustable forks, and in the rear we get another Showa monoshock with an adjustable preload reservoir by Dial. We also get the smaller TFT screen, which is very clear. Menus are easy to cycle through. All the controls are very, very basic input on this, but in a good way. Very simple to use right off the lot. Another really neat feature with this bike, with this particular model that is that you're going to get the integrated pannier clips right on the bike. All you have to do is purchase the additional panniers, which aren't too bad. I think you get the panniers, everything together for just under $10,000. And they slide right into place. They're keyed to the bike. You don't need to add on any kind of rail system or anything like that. You can also add a top box on the back, which is capable of holding 2 helmets, which is pretty nice considering my giant Trophy, which is a huge bike, has about the same luggage capacity. So even on a smaller package, you can have that touring capability. Your side panniers are also capable of holding a helmet. Service intervals are conservative at about 10,000 miles. At 20,000, you're going to have a more major service, and it will alternate back and forth in that manner, 10-20, 10-20, basically. As I said, there's a couple of key differences between this and really its sibling, the Trident, not any other Tiger. And one of those things is that it is a taller bike, so you have a little more ground clearance and a little more suspension travel, and that's a good thing for the rugged roads or dirt roads that you might be going on. If you're going on a camping trip or something like that, this is going to be very capable of doing that. It's not an extreme off-road bike, and it's certainly not in competition with, say, the Tiger 900 Rally, which has almost 100 millimeters more travel in the suspension. However, it's certainly going to be capable of handling light-duty off-road and getting to a, like I said, campsite. One of the ways they did that was by changing the swing arm on this bike. So that would be one of the key differences between this and, say, the Trident. But the real question is here, why did Triumph go out of their way to disassociate this with the Trident? The Trident's it's a hot bike. It's very desirable. It can be even hard to obtain one. And, you know, this is the same chassis, same engine. It's very light and nimble and sporty in handling. And frankly, to me, you really get a lot more out of this package. So let's take this bike out on the road and see if the additional functional capability is going to be worth considering this over, say, the Trident. Easter Sunday special, guys. So I'm starting this one up in one of these here state parks that are all around Tillamook. So that's kind of the plan, is just riding around Tillamook. And here's a great example of why I love these panniers. All my camera gear just fits so nice in there. Okay. So, what are my initial thoughts of the bike? Well, I think it's pretty great. But look at that, we got some snow on the ground. So, one of the great benefits of this bike compared to the Trident, I mean, even though they're like the same platform, is that you do have a little bit of wind protection. And I'm up here, I don't have heated gear on or anything, but it's cold enough that there's still snow on the ground. We're probably in the 40s, and I'm doing just fine with just leathers and some, winter gloves. And the screen and the fairing does a good job of keeping a lot of the wind off of my legs and chest. And that's, even up to 70 miles an hour or so. So I've been pretty happy with that. The riding position is, to me, infinitely better than on a roadster bike, whether you're talking street triple or Trident. And yeah, I'm kind of like an odd case. Maybe a lot of you guys can ride anything all day, but I've got like degenerative disc disease and rheumatoid arthritis, so like, to me, a neutral riding position is kind of a key requirement. Not that I can't enjoy a sport bike. Check out my other ride. It's like a totally slammed out Hayabusa. I just don't ride it very, very long. Other than that, my other bike, my actual riding bike, is an Old Man Deluxe Trophy 1200 SE, and it is just Mac Daddy. So, because I'm comparing this in a way from a touring perspective to my Mac Daddy, how does it compare with that? And I would say there's a couple of key factors for this that obviously you don't have, and that's full fairing wind protection. So you're still going to get some wind, and then cruise control. I won't count the stereo against it. I think stereos on bikes are kind of silly. I literally never use it on my Trophy. Now I'm going slow in here because of the speed limit, but the handling on the bike so far, it's really effortless. It's almost snappier than what I'm used to in a way, and so was the Trident. So I suspect that this bike, in the right hands, or someone who's owned the bike for a while, can pretty comfortably even take it around a track. It seems very good. One of the holdbacks, of course, is the suspension in the front is non-adjustable. So when you're getting into sort of really, really technical riding, you might find that it could be a little divey. And here's where my GoPro audio takes a dump. Sorry. Anyways, the suspension, yeah, that's what we were talking about. Even though the front suspension is non-adjustable, it seemed to carry me through all the corners just fine, with a little bit of dive and hard braking. The rear adjustable preload worked great, and I added a few clicks positive for my rider weight. Really easy to find a good neutral sag point. If you wanted to do a really loaded out touring or 2-up and you're not able to add enough preload, you can talk to your dealer or mechanic about putting a stiffer spring on. Pretty simple fix and not too costly. Acceleration on the Tiger 660 is pretty good, but it truly wakes up after 5,000 RPM. The real action kicks in after 8,000. Between 8,000 and the rev limiter, that is, for all intensive purpose, the G-force spot.
Oh my. Oh my. Oh my. Oh my. Oh my.
First gear is a bit lethargic, so really feel free to ring it out. In doing so, it will come alive. There is absolutely no issue hitting 100, theoretically that is, but it might feel a bit light at that point, so be cautious. The riding position is a mix of sport tour and adventure style and remains very neutral, which your knees and back will thank you for. As stated earlier, the handling is very snappy and sharp, but the bike will hold a nice line in a corner. Another really important feature is the fuel sipping nature of the bike. With the range listed around 200 miles, this really helps with the longer trips where there may be some areas with sparse access to fuel. Today I rode for well over half the day on a fill up and I came home and still had half a tank, so really was quite efficient. I also noticed that the bike has auto-canceling turn signals. Pretty incredible for a bike of this price range. A critical point mentioned earlier is the lack of cruise control. Certainly not expected on an entry-level machine, but it would be nice for the touring aspect. I recommend a throttle paddle or lock of some sort for long trips.
We're gonna get some coffee. At the lower speeds around town, the bike's just been a dream. The low speed handling is very good. The weight balance seems nice. I mean, no complaints from me. And walking it around, and it's just so light, you know, compared to especially my 650-pound trophy.
So that's it for my time with the Tiger 660. The bike really does offer multiple functionality at a great value. While slightly less sporty than the Trident, it's within nearly identical performance capability. The luggage options offer a great way to light tour or commute with waterproof storage. And you can ride this bike all day with little fatigue due to the weather protection and seating position and gain a lot more ground before fill-ups. So yes, I'd say it is worth considering this bike if you're focused primarily on road usage. It's likely the Triumph sleeper bike of the year. Some upgrades you might like are heated grips, hand guards, and a cell phone charger up in the front. And if you want a bit more grunt in your there's a Scorpion full exhaust system, which this has. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.